That evening we stayed at a lady's house that the woman seemed to know. We had fish for supper that night. After supper we decided to go outside. The two women built a fire outside as it was starting to get dusk. Once the fire was lit, the two women went a distance away from the fire and sat down to talk. I stood near the fire gazing into it when I sensed something dreadful. Then I don't remember anything else. It was like a black spot on my mind. Whatever happened was so traumatic that my mind blocked it out. All I remember next is that it is morning and that we're in a totally different place, and the woman who had been running with me was lying on a dirt road dead, and there was a policeman sitting on a chair smiling at me. The house and the woman that we stayed at were nowhere in sight. I was told that the woman had been murdered by a group of men. I was then put into the care of a woman named Miriam Isadora, who worked for one of Mother Teresa's nurseries. Miriam took me to a convent in Nayatankara in South India, and I stayed there for a couple days. Then one of the nuns took me by car, and it was a day's drive. The nun took me to a house, and I stayed there for a week or two. The people I stayed with had a sari shop outside, and I was in there one day when a customer noticed me and started asking questions about me. I was moved right away to another house. At this house I stayed for another couple weeks, until someone coming by to sell fish noticed me and started asking questions about me. I was moved right away again back to the first house I was at, and Miriam came and picked me up. I was then taken by car to another place. The new place I was taken to had 2 houses and walls surrounding it. I never saw anyone for the whole year I lived there except for the people taking care of me. They were very kind to me and took great care of me. After a year or so had passed, Miriam Isadora came and picked me up again. This time she took me to a convent in Trivandrum, Kerala called Holy Angels Convent and Orphanage in 1974. I lived and went to school there. During my stay at the convent, Miriam would come see how I was making out. This is the only photo that I have of the convent and orphanage while I was staying there. I'm the young girl in the red dancing outfit, with 3 nuns and another girl that was also adopted. These 2 other photos were taken in 1978 when I was first adopted into Canada, so I'm hoping someone out there recognizes me from these photos. When I was getting adopted into Canada, Miriam came to see me one final time. I could tell she wanted to tell me something. She took me for a walk, and when we sat down, she told me that the nuns were lying to me about my age and that I was older than what they were telling me. To adopt me out into Canada, the nuns had given me the birth date, May 18th, 1969. Miriam then told me that the lady whose house that I'd been at the night when the woman was murdered by the group of men could hear the woman calling out every night since she had been murdered. I found this strange because from the report, the woman and I had been found on the road nowhere near the house. I realized then that the woman had been murdered at the house, and then the body moved with me to the dirt road away from the house to hide things. The nuns also said that this woman who had been running with me was my mother, but I know that she was not my mother. I ran and told the nuns what Miriam Isadora had told me. The nuns would not allow Miriam Isadora to see me after that. I was adopted into Canada in April 1978. I kept bugging Sister Mary to tell me the truth, and she eventually, before she died, told me that everything I'd remembered was correct, but I should forget my past. I cannot forget my past, and I want to find my family. So if any of you out there know anything about my past, or could help me or recognize these marks on me, I'm showing you right now these marks that have been placed on me from probably when I was born. Each one is here on my right calf, and the other mark is on my left calf, and they've been branded on there and they're identical. And then the third mark is on my forehead, on the middle of my forehead, and all 3 are identical. So now if any of you know any information about me or my family and the reasons I was stolen, or recognize these marks or my early childhood photos, please contact me at iwasstolen@hotmail.com.